Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Fusion node breakdown. Today's node is the uDuplicate node. So we're going to jump into Fusion and we're going to set up our little scene so we can use the uDuplicate. So we're going to bring in a uRender and a uMerge. We'll go ahead and set that up. Under our renderer node right now, we'll just leave it on camera lighting. And we're going to bring in a uDuplicate node. Now the uDuplicate node is pretty much exactly like our standard duplicate node and our 3D duplicate node. There really isn't any difference other than the fact that this is meant for our USD environment. The one difference we have is the ability to change our USD instance scene, whether it's enabled or disabled. And when we have this enabled, Fusion's going to use the same USD data for every single copy. And it's going to be very efficient on your computer. Now, sometimes when you have tons of different stuff going on, or tons of jittering and multiple copies, sometimes this causes issues with the instancing. So if you disable this, it'll fix it. But in general, if you leave this enabled, it's going to be much more efficient on your computer when it's creating all these copies. So let's go ahead and grab some media so we can duplicate it. And I'm going to bring in just this little EXR of a tree, and we're going to duplicate this tree in our little USD scene here. Now I can't just bring this into our duplicate node because our USD doesn't accept just straight images. So in order to use this, and this is a 2D image, it's an EXR, but it's a 2D image. I'm going to bring in yesterday's node, the U image plane. And we're going to input that. And let's go ahead and input that into our merge so we can see what's going on with our little render here. And on our scene, let's go ahead and grab a U shape so we can get a plane. Input that. I'm going to change this to plane. I'm going to rotate it -90, and let's bring it down on the Y. Till it's just intersecting our little tree there. And I'm going to change our scale to like 80, so it's a giant. So there we go. We've got our little tree. Now we want to take this image plane, which we have, and duplicate it across our entire scene. So in order to do that, we can use the duplicate node. So we're going to go ahead and input that after our image plane. Now, the one thing we want to make sure we do before we start changing any settings on our duplicate node is make sure our pivot is correct. Because right now, if I go to our duplicate node and go to our jitter and say jitter up the size. Actually, let's get some copies going. And let's offset them on the X there. And if I start changing my scale, you can see they're going into our floor because our pivot location isn't correct. And this doesn't matter if we fix our pivot location on our image plane, we still need to fix it on our duplicate node because our duplicate node's pivot is not in its correct location. So let's go ahead and reset this, go under controls, and we're going to go to our uMerge, go to our cameras, and we're going to view it from the front. And we want to get this pivot location down on the bottom of our tree. Or whatever graphic you're going to use, make sure your pivot location is in the correct location. It doesn't have to be the bottom. It's going to be different for every image asset you use. So we're going to go ahead and grab our pivot, and we're going to move it down on the Y and center it on the X to about where we want it. And then once we got our pivot in our correct location, if we go back to our render node, we can go to our duplicate. Let's make some copies. Now, if we go to our jitter right now and we change our scale, it's still going to go through our floor. And that's because of our transform method we have going on over here. So let's cover that first. So let's go here. And as with our other ones, we can dictate how many copies we want. We can change the copy probability of that happening. We can change the time offset if we have timing keys for these two come in and out. And for our transform method, right now it's set at accumulated, which means each object, its copy is going to start at the position of the previous object, and it's going to be transformed from there. Meaning if we go to our rotation, and I rotate this on the y-axis, you can see it's just flipping around. But if I go to linear, rotate this on my y-axis, you can see the actual individual copies are rotating on their own. And this comes into play on how you want those copies and those jitters to happen. So under accumulated, if I go to jitter and change my scale, it's going to base it off the previous copy. So our pivot location is kind of null and void. But if I go back here and change this to linear, now it's all going to be linear and it's going to base itself off the original copy with our pivot on the bottom. So now we can jitter that scale correctly. So keep in mind, however you want your jittering in your copies to be copied and duplicated, this transform method is going to dictate a lot of stuff as well as your transform order. So under translation, we can translate our copies on the X, the Y, and the Z. We can also rotate on the X, the Y, and the Z. And again, we can change our pivot location, and we can change the scale. And under duplicate path, if we have a path that we created, we can have that follow our path just like the other duplicate nodes we've covered in the past. And additionally, we have the export as separate stage. Now under our jitter, this is where we can start actually getting our jitter to work and randomize how we want. So we can jitter on the X, so we can change this up to jitter a little more. And let's minimize that scale there. We can jitter on the Y, and we can add jitter on the Z. And let's go to our controls and let's up our copies to like 20 so we get a whole bunch of them. And I notice most of our copies are going to the right of our scene, so we can come to our image plane and we can transform our original on the x-axis to get more of those in there. And then here we can change the random seed of our jitter to get the look we're looking for. We can change our jitter probability. And again, we can change the time offset of our jitter if we have animations keyed in there. Under our region, these are the modes we select to select how our jitter and where our jitter is affected. So right now it's ignore and it's on all. But if I select when inside region, it's only going to occur when it's in the region I dictate. When not inside the region, only when it's not inside the region I dictate. So I can select a cube. If we go to our merge node, we can see our little cube, and we can change the height and the width and the depth of this cube. So if I change it to 40 around the board, here's our cube, it's going to happen there. And if I change our width, you can see it's only happening within there. I can also select rectangle, and it's the same concept, so I can change the size of my rectangle. And it's only going to occur within that rectangle area. I can do a sphere, and same thing with a sphere. If I change the size, it's only going to occur within that sphere area. And then our last one here for mesh. It seems like it would be fairly simple, but it doesn't work as you would think. So if I go to FBX import or FBX mesh, and I look for a little mesh, I import our little fake house here, 0.01, and let me transform that over here, and we can rotate it so we can kind of see what's going on. So say this is our little house, you can see it's still populating inside our mesh. So once we input this as our mesh in our duplicate node into the green input, you can see it'll attempt not to populate inside that mesh. But just watch it, because even though we have not inside mesh, if we go to our controls and we say offset this a little bit, you can see it's still populating in there sometimes, and it does weird, odd stuff. So it gets a little finicky. So sometimes just creating a cube or a rectangle area you don't want that to populate in is a little better. So that is the uDuplicate node. I will see you in the next node breakdown.